right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be using your block. It can be on its flattest setting or we call this the middle setting, but I wouldn't put it on its highest setting. This is going to end up going in your middle back area. So what's going to happen is you'll place it middle back-ish and you'll decide exactly where it belongs. We're not putting it on the lower back and it's not on the neck, but I like to call it like bra line-ish. It might go a little above that or a little below that. So I like to put it down, and again, it might be on its flattest setting or it might be on the middle setting. And then you'll go ahead and lay yourself down on it. And then I like a second block to support my head. I do not like my head dangling. It doesn't feel good on my neck. For most people, it doesn't feel good. Again, it could be a block. It could be your Pilates ball, or it could be a pillow, but something. And then we're just going to settle in here first. Kind of decide if you've placed the block in the right location or if it needs to move. And once you've decided that, you'll go ahead and just focus in on your breath. So at first, just noticing your breath, not necessarily trying to change anything, just noticing your breath. And for me, I like to keep my knees bent. It's more supportive for my lower back. Now that's a choice. You could take it or leave it. The focus should really be an opening of the middle upper back area. So if you're getting a lot in your lower back, go ahead and bend your knees, okay? So you'll decide what's appropriate for you. Now you might decide after a bit if it's on the lowest setting for that block that you want to move it to the middle setting. That's also a choice. We're going to be here for about 10 more big breaths. So you'll have time if you want to adjust that block to a higher or lower setting. So notice the breath is going all the way down into your lower belly. The ribs are expanding. The chest is rising and filling with breath. And then you're exhaling until you're empty. So kind of filling up like a balloon from the bottom to the top. And a slow exhale from the top to the bottom. And even pausing. So inhaling, and you can pause at the top of the breath. And exhaling and pausing at empty. If it's possible, you're breathing in and out of your nose. And that just helps to get you into a rest, digest, restorative state, parasympathetic state. And breathing in and out of the nose will guide you in that direction. So we'll be here for a few more breaths. You're going to clasp your hands above your chest, reach your arms towards the ceiling, interlace your fingers, and you'll reach your arms back behind your head, whatever degree that will go. So some of you, your hands will touch the ground. Some of you, they will not touch the ground. You're not going to stay there. You're going to come right back up with your hands and you're going to move here. So you'll reach long, arms go back, and back up over your chest. Reach long. You'll decide if your arms are totally straight or a little bent or a lot bent. You'll determine how far the arms go back. Just keep moving them back and forth. And one more time, reach. And bring it back up. Good. All right, so getting up from this you have two options. You can support your head and kind of do a sit up. That can be a lot, or just roll kind of off to the side off of that. But you be gentle, whatever you've chosen, be gentle. You're going to move those blocks out of your way, and then you're going to lay right back down. Now, if your legs are not already extended, go ahead and extend them out. They're going to be kind of wideish, so at least as wide as your hip. And then you're going to take your right arm out to the right, palm up. Okay, so it's reaching straight out from my shoulder. My left hand, I'm going to reach it over towards my right. I'm kind of going to log roll over. So I'm leaning over, rolling onto that right arm. And then I'm going to slide my left hand across my arm and hand and I land maybe back where my left hand is meeting my right shoulder. And then I'm going to do it again, rolling and then rolling back. Just give me a little movement in the middle back here as we do this. You might feel the back of the shoulder as well. Rolling, sliding to the right, nice and slow, and then back onto your back. We'll do that a few more times. Rolling over, sliding that hand even past your other palm, and slide it on back. And then one more time, rolling on your right arm, reaching, and then sliding back onto your back. And you'll take your left arm out to the left. We're gonna do it on the other side. Your right hand comes across your body, reach towards your left hand, reach past it, roll onto your left side a bit, and then slide it. And the hand just kind of stops when it comes back to your left shoulder, and then roll it over again. So a little bit like a log roll with your body, and then slide it back onto your back again. We'll do that a few more times. Roll it onto your side. You might feel a stretch in your middle back. You might feel your right hip flexor, back of the shoulder. And depending on where you've got tension, that's probably where you're going to feel it. We'll do that two more times. Roll it over and slide it back one more time. Roll it over and slide it on back. Good. All right. So you're going to go ahead and just bend your knees and roll to the side to make your way up so you can see what's happening next. You're going to be taking your two yoga tune-up balls or whatever you're using. Remember, I'm not a big fan of lacrosse balls. Those are too hard. So hopefully you've got nothing harder than a tennis ball, but these yoga tune-up balls or something like them can be really awesome because they've got that rubbery texture. So they kind of grab your skin the way a tennis ball would not. These two balls are going to be on the floor and you're going to bring your body on top of those balls. Now, they might be as low as that block was earlier. That can be very intense. So they're going to be anywhere from there or up from there. So they might be like right at that bra line. That can be a lot. Okay. So if that's too intense, move them up. Okay. So they might be kind of right at the shoulder blade level or maybe even a little higher. So be really conscious about where you're placing them. So if no matter where you put them, it's fine, then maybe you start lower and then you incrementally move them up. Now, you can lay your head on the ground if it reaches. For some of you now, you're like, okay, I can't reach the ground. So maybe just placing your hands underneath your head is going to be enough support. You get a nice chest opening that way also. If your head is still nowhere near the ground, you might place a block under there or maybe a pillow or a rolled up towel just so that your head is supported. So be careful not to get to a situation where your head is dangling and not touching the earth. Okay? So make a good choice. So here now, if your hands are not behind your head supporting your head, give yourself a hug. So you're going to grab opposite shoulders and just give yourself a hug here. And then you just can kind of dip to the left and dip to the right. And I understand this can be a lot. So if it is way too much, there's things you can do. Maybe you double or even triple up your mat so there's more cushion absorbing that pressure. Okay. So the thicker the surface is underneath you, it more will absorb that pressure. If no matter what you do, it's just way too intense, take your balls to the wall and you can do something similar. So just a little dipping left and dipping right. I'm hugging myself, dipping left and dipping right. Okay, so if your hands are behind your head, supporting your head, you could try just lifting your head up for a moment and do that. Or you could even leave your hands back there. And it works to do a little dipping left and right. But there's a little added benefit when we do the hug because you're rounding out that upper back. Okay, so if you've got those arms crossed, which one is on top, it changes it a little bit. And hugging again, a little dipping left and dipping right, dipping left, dipping right. Now, as always, if you're new to this practice, you haven't heard this. If you have been to several of my classes, you know you want to check in with your breath over and over again. If you are not able to take a deep breath, it is too much. Okay. So if you are not able to take a deep breath, or you are like guarding or really tensing up, it's too much. Put it in a little different location, higher, lower, left, right, narrower, wider, or take it to the wall. Whatever you need to do, cushion underneath you more, whatever you need to do so that it makes it like on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 7. Okay, we're not going to a 10. Yeah, you're going to feel it. It should be interesting. It might be a little uncomfortable, but you should be feeling better as you go and definitely better when you're done, not worse. All right. So you can uncross your arms, unhug yourself. And so maybe you move the balls to a little different location. So maybe they come a little higher, or if they were pretty high, maybe they come a little lower, or if they were pretty wide, maybe you move them in a bit. So just a slightly different location here. Your choice, higher, lower, wider, narrower. Okay. And so you can do exactly the same thing, could hug and dip side to side. Other things you could do, you could start to move the arms. So maybe one moves up while the other goes down. Maybe both go up and down. Maybe you do like a snow angel kind of a thing. You can reach up, draw circles on the ceiling with your hands. You could cross and then extend out. Anything that feels good. Okay? If none of that feels like it's giving you enough pressure, and really check in, it's you are not breaking down scar tissue. That's not what you're doing. You're hydrating the tissue. So don't just dig into a really, really, really tight spot. Okay. So if you want a little bit more, you could place a block underneath your tailbone. An option. More is not always better, guys. So check in. And remember, you could always take this to the wall if it is too much. Don't be afraid to do that. You have 10 more big breaths. Deep inhales, long exhales. Please make sure your head is supported in some way, not dangling up there. I don't want you to get a stiff neck trying to get yourself more relaxed and then you cause another problem. So let's avoid that. 5 more breaths. Maybe you just find stillness and breathe. Come back to those deep breaths in and out, regardless of whether you're moving or you're still. And very gently, if your hips are on a block, lift your hips, remove the block. And very gently roll to the side off of the balls. If you're on the floor, if you have come up and you're using the wall, you'll come back to your mat onto the floor. You're gonna come onto hands and knees now. And we're going to be moving through some cat-cows in a couple of different ways. So hands and knees, we'll start wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Tuck your chin, round your spine, really press into the hands, creating a big rounded upper back. You should feel the stretch in the area where you just had those balls. And then lift and lengthen, drop the ribs, and then pull your heart forward. And do it again. Tuck and round. Press into the hands. You could even push forward a little bit. And then lengthen the spine. Take a nice big belly breath. And then exhale completely, tuck and round. One more time. You lengthen it out. Heart lift. Good. Same thing, but on the forearms. So this changes the focus. So you could even bring your hips a little closer to your heels here. Tuck and round. And lift and lengthen. Tuck and round. And lift and lengthen. Tuck and round. Tummy pulls in a bit. And then pull your heart forward, drop the ribs. Okay, good. So you're going to move on to our next thing. We're going to be using your your Pilates ball. So this is the one that really maybe 3/4 full. Okay? If you do not have a Pilates ball, you could use a pillow or something underneath you. But this works really well. So if you don't have one now, you definitely will want to get one. We're going to be placing that under the right rib cage. You may decide you want some support under your head, so that's a choice. Take it or leave it. Okay, so we're going to be placing that ball under your right ribs. And then again, maybe the head is supported by a block if that feels good. I like to keep my knees bent, and maybe my knees are about in line with my hips. That feels better on my body. My back likes that better. Maybe yours will as well. So at first, you're just going to place your hand or even that forearm on your left ribs. Those are the top ribs. So you can experience your breath as you deeply breathe in and out. Okay? So take a deep breath in. You'll feel the ribs expand. And then as you exhale completely and even do a little bit of extra contraction, almost like you're doing a side crunch, not aggressively, but just fully contracting that right side. And then do it again. Inhale, expand, expand, expand. And then exhale, and so much that you might even do a teeny, almost like side crunching over that ball that's underneath you. And do it again. Inhale. Completely exhale. Then really contract that bottom rib cage. And again, breathe in. And complete exhale with a little extra contraction. One more time. Big breath in. And complete exhale. Now, some of you might decide to drape your top left arm up and over your ear. If that feels okay in your shoulder, you can do that. If it doesn't, you can just leave your arm where it was. Okay. So a couple more big, big breaths like we just did with the arm where over the ear if possible. Inhale. And exhale completely. Inhale, expand. Exhale completely. We'll do that one more time. Breathe in. And exhale completely. All right, this top left arm, bring that left hand down by your thighs, and then you're going to make a big circle with it all the way around. Now, your range of motion might be different than mine. So you're going to check in with that. If it's pinching in the shoulder, you don't push through that. You find a range that's going to work for you. So you may be doing a full circle, but maybe it looks more like this. Or maybe you really can't do a full circle. It just can't do it past here. So you just come back and it's more like a half circle. But if you're able to do a full circle, go all the way around. Inhale. Circle around. Exhale. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2 more times. Breathe in. And breathe out. And one more time. Breathe in. And breathe out. Good. All right. So we're going to come up, set the ball off to the side. Just a quick check-in before we switch sides. Come to lie down on your back. Close your eyes. Take a nice big breath. Notice if one side feels different from the other. And after you've done your check-in, you can start to make your way to your second side. So maybe a block under the head again. Ball is definitely underneath your left rib cage now. And you'll check in and make sure that you've got it in a place where you can stay for a while, because you know we'll be here for a little bit. So that might be higher or lower on your body, and maybe it's a little different on this side than it was on the other side. Hand on the top right ribs, or maybe the forearm, so you can really experience the expansion as you breathe in. Breathe in deeply. And then exhale completely. And it's almost like a crunching side crunch, sort of a contraction of that bottom rib cage. So you're fully exhaling each time. Breathe in. And a little contraction of that side ribs underneath you on that left side. Feel the breath, expand those ribs, and then feel the contraction. Again, breathe in deep. Exhale completely. A little contraction. A couple more times like this. Good. You guys look good. Inhale. And a complete exhale. Option, arm drapes over your ear. That may or may not work on this side. So check it out. See what you think. Continue with the breath. Fully expanding and then completely exhaling. A little contraction at the end of the exhale. Breathe in. And exhale completely. These rib cage tissues in and around there, also connecting in and around your diaphragm, so important for your breathing. If you tend to be a chest breather, short, contracted, tight chest breather, not expanding into your ribs or your belly, that can limit your, so many things. It can actually limit your capacity to like really have clear thinking. So if you have shortened breath, you're not getting oxygen to the brain. If you have really shortened breath, you're really creating a situation where you might create disease in your body. Go ahead and start to move that arm now. So it makes big giant circles all the way around, unless a full circle doesn't work for you. So your breath controls so much obviously your cardiovascular capacity. So for exercise, having shortened breath will limit your capacity. It's well known that if you tend to be a chest breather, you're more likely to have issues with any kind of respiratory illness. If you're a chest breather, it will certainly exacerbate asthma situations. Can also affect your emotional state of being. So it's really important to be able to take deep breaths. So if you're limited by the fascial tissue that surrounds your rib cage and your diaphragm itself, you're certainly going to be limited in your health. And a couple more big breaths with movement or without. If you're feeling like you want to just be still, you can be still. One more big breath in and a long breath out. Right. We're going to go ahead and remove the ball, remove the block, onto your back again for a little check-in. Notice what you're feeling in your ribs now. Are you able to take a deeper breath? Maybe place your hands on your belly. See if your belly expands with your inhale now. All right. We're going to roll to the side and come onto hands and knees again. So we're going to be walking your hands to the top left corner of your mat. So I'm going to really, really reach the right arm, and then my left forearm might come to the earth. If I can reach the ground, it could come onto a block, or maybe you stay on your hand. But that right arm, really reaching, you should feel something in this right outer armpit area into the lap. If you take your knees kind of wideish, you could even sit your hips a little to the right. You'll get it even more going all the way down, maybe even where it connects into your hip. You could play with the right hand, maybe flip it thumb to ceiling, or some of you might even be able to flip it all the way onto the back of your hand. If that's pinching in the shoulder, don't do that. Maybe you leave the palm flat if that's better for you. One more big breath in. And long breath out. Okay. We'll come up and switch sides. So that left arm is really reaching, the right arm, forearm can come to the ground. Maybe it's palm to the earth. Maybe you externally rotate that left hand. You could sit your hips a little to the left. You'll feel it maybe go all the way down to where that latissimus dorsi, connects into that oblique and into that left hip area, the whole side body. Breathing. All right, back onto hands and knees. We're gonna do one more thing here. If your knees don't like the surface, cushion your knees, okay? So you don't get bonus points for jamming your knees into a hard surface, okay? So we're gonna slide the right arm underneath you. It's like a thread the needle is what they call it. Palm is up. Lay the back of your shoulder onto the earth, and if possible, the side of your head. Some of you might need a block for that. And then your left hand meets your right hand. You're going to reach the left arm towards the ceiling and then bring it back down. So we're moving here. Left arm to the ceiling, and then palm to palm. Left arm towards the ceiling, and then palm to palm. Couple more times. Reach it up, breathe in, bring it down, breathe out. One more time, reach it up, breathe in, and bring it down. And we'll switch sides. So slide that left arm underneath you, back of the shoulder and the side of the head on the earth, or maybe on a block or a pillow or a towel or something. Right hand to left hand. Reach towards the ceiling, breathe in. Move from your middle back. Right hand to left hand. Do it again. Reach up, breathe in. Bring the hand down, breathe out. Reach up, breathe in. Hand down, breathe out. 2 more times. Reach it up, breathe in. Bring the hand back down, breathe out. And 1 more time. Reach it up, breathe in. And the hand comes down. Good. All right. So we're actually going to come up off of the floor now. So we're going to come to stand. You'll either be using your yoga tune-up ball, or if you have a spiky ball, the little orange spiky ball, you could use that as well. I'm just going to use this guy because I think most of you have this one, but if you have an orange spiky ball, that's the one that has the little pokies that does a little extra. But we're going to go ahead and start with that ball by the ball of your foot. Heel is down, and then you're going to roll back and forth. Now, if you're feeling like, oh, I'm having a hard time balancing, don't be afraid to hold on to a wall or a chair or something. So it's the right foot. We're going to roll that ball across the ball of your foot. Just back and forth, back and forth. Okay, so it goes side to side. So our feet are so connected to our back and our pelvic floors. So if you are having an issue with either of those things, I would highly recommend rolling your feet frequently. And of course, if you have issues going on with your feet in general, it's going to help your feet as well, plantar fasciitis or any other issues going on with your feet. And then now we're going to lean in almost like you're going to step on it and then lean back out. Lean in. You can even almost grab the ball, wrap your toes around, and then lean out. Lean in. You can even do a little contraction and then lean out. And you can just start to move the ball from the big toe mound to the middle toe mounds and right on the ball of the foot towards the baby toe mound. And then we're going to move to the arch of the foot. So again, heel on the ground, and we're rolling that ball back and forth, back and forth. Side to side, to the inside of that arch, outside of that arch, inside of the arch, outside of the arch. And then we'll do that same thing where we lean it in. Maybe it's really towards the inner arch. Lean out. Maybe I move it to the middle of my arch and then lean out. And then maybe I move it more towards the outer part of my foot and then lean it out. And of course, you decide how much pressure you want here. So I'm putting a lot of my body weight on here, but you know, my yoga tune-up balls, I use them a lot. So they've gotten a little bit more pliable, more soft. If you've got a brand new set, they're probably pretty stiff. So here's one way to break them down a little bit. Stand on them like this. But just know you might not be putting as much pressure on there if you've got a really new set of yoga tune-up balls, or if you're even using a tennis ball, that's a little bit harder than this. So just be careful. Remember, it should not be painful. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the heel. So we're going to put the ball of the foot on the ground. You're just going to roll that ball back and forth across your heel. Back and forth, side to side. And then we'll just press into it and then come out, press into it, come out, press and release, press and release. And one last thing, we're gonna roll front to back, just rolling the whole foot, front to back, front to back, front to back. All right, so before we switch sides, we're just gonna do a little check-in. Just set the ball off to the side, maybe close your eyes. Notice how your 2 feet feel. Notice if one feels different than the other. Okay. And for most of us, it will feel different. We are gonna do one more thing before we switch sides. If you have a wall or something you can lean against, I do recommend it. We're going to be using the wall for this stretch and one other, so you might want to find a wall. You're going to step your right foot back. Left foot is pretty close to the wall. We're going to be doing a calf stretch here. So reaching the heel towards the ground, you're going to lunging forward and lifting the chest, and then just a little side to side so that you're rocking side to side. So you'll notice how that changes what part of your calf is stretching. So I'm gonna feel a little inside, a little outside. So if you have plantar fasciitis, make sure you're stretching your calves and rolling your feet for sure. But this is also going to be really beneficial if you happen to have any issues with your knees, your hips, or your lower back. All right, we're going to switch sides. So other foot, we'll start by the ball of that left foot. Put it right, the ball goes in the ball of the foot, and we're going to rock that foot, slide that foot left and right. Heel is on the ground, and the ball just travels back and forth across the ball of your foot. And then we'll start to do that one where we lean in and lean out and then let it move to the middle and to the baby toe mound, the middle, towards the big toe mound, middle. Move that ball to the arch of the foot, heel on the ground. The ball will go back and forth across the arch of the foot, the middle of your foot. And just back and forth, side to side. We're doing what we call cross fiber work. The ball is traveling across the fiber. The fibers, generally speaking, go from toe to heel. So we're going across the fiber by going side to side with the foot. And then we'll start that one where we kind of step on it or put whatever weight we can and then take the weight off. You'll get the outer part of the foot, the middle part of the foot, the inner arch. You can keep doing that, kind of going back and forth. And let's move it to the heel. So the ball of your foot is on the ground. We're going to move that ball back and forth across the heel. And then we'll do some of that pressure on, pressure off. So my heel is pressing onto the ball, and then I'm releasing the pressure. Onto the ball, release the pressure. And then we'll roll it out, front to back, front to back, front to back. Good. Okay. So once again, just a little check-in. Notice how your feet feel before we stretch, and then we'll stretch that left one. So when we finish our little check-in, we'll come to a wall or something that can support you. Right foot steps forward. Move the hips forward. Reach that left heel towards the ground. Feel the calf stretch, and then just a little rocking side to side. So you feel the stretch move from the inner part of the calf, the outer part of the calf, inner and outer. Okay, so you're gonna turn sideways to your wall now. So we're gonna be doing a little more stretching of the side body and even into the QL and the outer lower part of your back. So we'll stand with our left side to the wall. And from here, what you're going to be doing is leaning in. You're gonna cross your right foot over. So both feet are on the ground, but the right foot is crossed. You're gonna let your right hip lean out to the right and then reaching up and over. So I'm arcing my body towards the wall. And I'll be feeling some of this side body stretch here, up even underneath my armpits. My hand might touch the wall, it might not. If your shoulder doesn't like this, you might try hand behind the head instead. You can come out of this a little bit. We're going to come back in, but change the angle. So you're going to do the same exact thing. Reach up, lean it up and over, and then slightly rotate and round towards the wall. My right hand might touch the wall now. I'm going to show you from this angle. So instead of just straight over, I'm rotating ever so slightly forward and across. So I'm going to be getting more of this right in here. So up and then slight rotation and reaching towards the wall. You can notice my right leg is bent. My left leg is fairly straight. That's the one that's behind. All right, we'll come on up and out of that. And we're going to switch sides. So turn it all the way around. Right hand on the wall. And you'll notice I'm a pretty decent distance away from the wall. So I have somewhere to go. If I'm right here, I'm like, oh, I'm going to run right into the wall. I have nowhere to move, right? So you got to be far enough away that you got somewhere to move. Left foot crosses over. My left knee can bend a little bit on this. It's fine. So my hips move out to the left. I'm going to reach up and over to the right. Now remember on this one, again, if it feels better, you could bend that top elbow. If your shoulder doesn't like this position, some of you might even be able to reach the wall with that hand. Breathing into the side body. Try not to just dump to the right. You're thinking of lengthening up and lengthening through both sides of the body. Right, come out of that a little bit. We're gonna go back in, but turn the body just a bit. So reach up, dip it up and over, and a slight rotation towards the wall. You might even be able to touch the wall. So it looks like this. A little bit of rotation now. Okay. Breathe into the side lower back. Try not to dump into the right side. Get long through both sides. All right, we'll come out of that. Okay, we're doing one more standing and then we'll come back to the floor. So you may decide you want your blocks, and you may even decide the blocks are not tall enough for you, and you might find your way over to a chair or a couch or something. So you're going to stand behind your blocks or your chair or couch. We're going to, once again, so the right foot steps over the left. Okay, you can see they're fairly separate. Okay, maybe you've got blocks in front of you, or again, you might decide to move to something a little higher. You'll know as soon as you get going here. So what's going to happen is we're going to reach up first. We're going to do another side bend first. Catch your left wrist, lean up and over to the right. Okay. Again, if that does not work for you for some reason and you need to keep your elbows bent, you might keep your elbows bent. You can even see if you like it better with the arms straight or elbows bent. It does feel different. So maybe you're up and over with straight arms. Maybe you put your hands behind your head. Leaning over to the right foot is in front. All right, we'll take it back up. You're gonna take it forward now. So this is the one where you might, if you're here, you're like, okay, that's as far as I can go. You might need to find something taller. Now the right leg, the front leg, it can bend, but try to keep the back leg pretty straight, okay? So you can see my right leg, the front leg, it might bend, but we're trying to keep the back leg pretty straight. Some of you might be able to come even lower. Outer hamstring, outer glute. You might even feel it coming into that lower lateral part of your back. Keep breathing. Very carefully, we make our way back up. And we're going to come to the other side. So left foot crosses over. Reaching the arms up. Catch your right wrist, lean up and over to the left. Or maybe again, the hands are behind the head and you lean. Maybe you spend a little time one way. And then maybe you spend some time with the elbows bent. It will feel different in your body depending on what you're choosing. And maybe one or the other just works better for you. And that's fine. Everybody is different. And we bring it up. And then we come forward to those blocks or your chair or your couch. The front leg can bend. Try to keep the back leg pretty straight. So my front leg, it might bend, but the back leg should stay as straight as your body will allow. Keep breathing. One more breath in. And one more breath out. All right, we'll carefully make our way back up and then come all the way down to the floor. So set those blocks off to the side. And we'll make our way onto actually, we're gonna need our blocks. So we're gonna come onto our right side. So we'll use the blocks, again, one for head support if you need it, one for support between your legs. Okay? And some people need both. Some people need one or the other. Some people need neither. What I do want to make sure you're doing is bringing the knees up in line with your hips. Okay, so make sure they're not dangling down low. You'll extend your right arm out. We're going to revisit some of the movements that we did with our arm earlier when we had the ball underneath us. So some of this might look familiar, but we're set up differently, so it will likely feel different. Left hand meets right hand. You're going to slide past your fingertips and then slide all the way across your body this time. So we're not going to stop here this time. You're going to reach back behind you. And then hand comes to shoulder. You're going to come across your body again, reach past your fingertips. And then we slide it all the way open again. And again, hand to shoulder, cross your chest, reach past your fingertips, slide your body open. And one more time, we slide across the body. And then slide yourself open. You're going to stay this time and breathe. So you're going to see if you can let that left rib cage melt closer to the earth behind you. Does not mean it will ever touch, but think of melting, softening, creating space in your middle back. When we've got movement in your thoracic spine, you're going to be able to take a deeper breath. So we're going to be moving this left arm now again. We're going to be making circles, just like we did when we had the ball underneath us before, but it will feel different because there's no ball. So it'll be much more focused on the shoulder mobility and your middle back mobility. We'll go 3 times this way, so whichever way you went is fine. And then we'll go the opposite direction. 3 times, circling the other way. And again, your range of motion will likely be different than mine or anybody else. When you bring that arm back to in front of you, you're going to help yourself up to switch sides. You can use a roll over or flip around, whatever works for you. And then we find ourselves onto side number 2. So we'll start once again, left arm reaching out, right hand to left hand, reach past your fingertips, slide your body open, reach back behind you. And once again, you slide it past your fingertips, rotating from your middle back. Slide yourself open, reach. And again, slide it. And the next time you find yourself reaching back behind you, you will stay. Take a couple of big breaths. Think of melting your right rib cage back towards the earth. I don't think it's ever going to touch, but you're just thinking of melting into mobility in your middle back. And then we start to circle this right arm. So let's go 3 times slowly one way. Doesn't matter which way, we're going to go both ways. And again, your range of motion will likely be different than mine. And 3 times the other direction. Good. And then rolling onto your side. Good. All right. So we're going to be putting the balls back inside their tote. lock it down to make sure that the tote is locked into place so you don't lose your balls. And we're going to be doing a release for your neck. You're going to set your balls on top of a block, most likely. If that's too much, just remove the block. Okay. So we're going to start with the balls at the base of the skull. So all the way up at the top of your neck where your head, your skull meets your neck. And then you're going to let your chin drop towards your chest. So you're getting a bit of traction here. So it's just pulling on the neck muscle. We'll take a few breaths here while we're getting a little traction in the neck. Softening through your shoulders and your jaw and your face. One more big breath in and a long breath out. Just start to turn your head side to side. Again, the balls are right up by the base of your skull right now. Can be an area where a lot of folks develop tension. If it's really, really intense, maybe you remove the block so there's not so much pressure. You can lift your head and make a yes motion with your head now. And then go ahead and move those balls more towards the middle of your neck. And we'll start again with the turning the head side to side. And then you can make a yes motion with your head. You can do a little combination now. So turn your head to the right. And while it's turned to the right, nod your head yes a few times. And turn your head to the left. And nod your head yes a few times. You have about 3 more breaths to do what seems to serve you best. So you can keep moving, you can find stillness. If having those balls closer to the base of your skull was working better for you, then maybe you go back to that. A couple more big breaths. Go ahead and remove the block and the balls. Set them off to the side and start to move yourself into your final rest position. And before you completely let go, finding one word, one intention that's going to guide you through your day. Maybe it's patience, maybe it's joy, maybe it's strength or softening or understanding. I don't know what your intention is, but usually whatever comes to mind first is what you need. So let that settle into your heart and then take one more big, big breath in and then let it go. Please take your time in Shavasana. You can spend 5 minutes or more, please do. I'm going to log off. Namaste, my friends. Have an amazing day.